Welcome back. I will be ranking tier 3 creatures in a tier list. And the creatures are from the game Heroes of Might and Magic 5.5, which is a mod for the base game. I don't know how many stats have been changed, how many abilities have been changed from the base game, because it's been a long time since I have played it. I have only played the mod recently. And the ranking will be like 60% how good the unit is, 40% how cool I think it is, and it's like a ranking for single player games because I don't really play multiplayer. And so let's see. The first up are iron golems. Like in general, tier 3 creatures are, how could I call them? In the first 1 or 2 weeks of the game, they are the highest tier creature you have, so that's one thing. And the other thing, they usually are like the meat shield of your army. They're somewhat there are some exceptions. Some of them are like damage dealers, but usually it's like the meat shield. The first one is Iron Golem, and it's a perfect example of that. It's 5 attack, 5 defense, 3 to 5 damage, 8 initiative, 5 speed, 25 health, and 9 weekly growth. And it has no interesting abilities besides being almost like 50% magic proof and immune to slow. And as a mechanical unit, it cannot be resurrected, right? Yeah. Or healed, and it is immune to some types of magic. Now, the Goblin masters can actually repair them, so it's not like you cannot ever recover them, even though they are not living. I don't know if resurrection artifacts affect them. I haven't tested it out. Maybe they do. Like from the description it would seem that they don't affect them. And I would say it's one of the worst units. Their only role is to die, so that your damage dealers can survive. So I would rank it either at C or D tier. I'll leave it at D tier. Like, it looks really cool. I like them as a unit. So that might be the only reason why to put them higher. Now, next up is Magnetic Golem, which is upgrade in all the offensive stats, but it is actually less tanky since it has 1 less defense. And what makes it more interesting is that it has some abilities. It has magnetism and enchanted armor. Magnetism means that if magnetic golem is targeted by destruction spell, and the same destruction spell also targets some other friendly units, the magnetic golem will absorb some of the damage instead of your other friendly units. And the enchanted armor makes it so that 25% of the damage is like gained as healing, and they don't take damage from it. Yes, only thing they're not completely immune is Armageddon, I think. No, the magnetism doesn't work with Armageddon. However, the enchanted armor should work. Yeah. So it's much more interesting unit, and it's very fun to play against AI, and you can specialize in it, make a big stack. Yeah. So for that, I would give it at least B tier. It's like in the regular combat, it's pretty slow and weak, but it's very fun against spellcasters. Next up is Steel Golem, which is simply all around upgrade of Iron Golem. just a bit more stats, and it also has unlimited retaliation. Mechanically it's not that interesting, but it's combat wise it beats Magnetic Golem. And there is also like some faction based abilities that makes all golems faster for the academic heroes. And I think if I remember correctly, it also improves their initiative. It improves their speed and initiative, but for magnetic golems it doesn't improve their initiative, so technically I think you can make the steel golems faster than magnetic golems. Personally I prefer magnetic golems because how fun they are over steel golems, even though technically steel golems would usually be more better, because I don't think if you were, for example, playing against a human player, they would target steel golems with destruction spells. So yeah, I also rank them B tier, a little bit lower than magnetic golems. Then the next are Minotaurs from the dungeon faction. They have almost double the HP. 25 versus 40. 6 weekly growth, 5 attack, 2 defense, 4 to 7 damage, 9 initiative, and 5 speed. So they're a little bit faster than golems, a little bit more damage, but less defense and yeah, less growth. And they have no interesting abilities besides bravery. And bravery means that they always have positive morale. It's pretty useful for spellcasters, which usually don't have leadership skill, and like against Necropolis, who can reduce your morale in various ways. But it doesn't have any strategic abilities that are interesting. And similarly to Iron Golems, their only role is to die. They can deal more damage than the Golems, but that's about it. Yeah. So I would also rank them D tier. Yeah, let's leave them at D tier for now. It will be possible to change later. Now, next up is Minotaur Guard, which is like a crazy upgrade. It has more defense, it has more damage, more initiative, more speed, more HP, and more aggressive ability, which is called Assault, and it has a chance to attack twice. And the chance is dependent on how much HP the target stack has. So it's 27% chance if the target stack has double the HP of the Minotaurs after being attacked once. And Soldier's Luck skill increases the chance of hitting the enemy twice. Yes. But I still think it's very difficult unit to like use in interesting ways. That's how I would say. It's pretty boring. It looks cool. It's very cool looking. I was thinking of putting it in C tier. Maybe I could put it in B tier because I'm feeling generous. And Minotaur Taskmaster, that definitely goes in C tier. It has more HP and better stats than Minotaur Guard, but it has less speed and the ability. Actually, maybe since I never use Minotaur Guards for offensive purposes, Minotaur taskmaster like makes it so that nearby units never have negative morale. So maybe in a sense it's actually, yeah, it's more of a tank than the Minotaur guard. So who should I rate higher? Actually, we might switch it. Like, I love all the units, to be honest. They are all really cool, and it's really painful to give them low ranks. But I think I must do it so that it won't be too weird. All the units are like top tier. Now the next faction is Fortress, and I never play Fortress, so this is the one I don't know anything about. I don't really like Fortress, but Bear Riders are one of the coolest of their units. It's at least a little bit original, because all the other units are like dwarves with different weapons. At least here they are riding something. So their stats are 5 attack, 9 defense, 4 to 5 damage, 10 initiative, 6 speed, 32 health points, and 7 weekly growth. Already looking at these stats, I can see they are really strong compared to the units we have looked at so far. They're incredibly tanky, and they're faster than all of the other units we have looked at so far. And they have more growth than Minotaurs, but less growth than golems. And their only interesting ability is Enrage, which means that when a friendly unit dies, the Bear Rider gets more attack. And I don't know how strong the Enrage ability is, I have never paid attention to that. But somewhere I saw information that the strength of Enrage bonus depends on how strong the dying stack was. So it means if you have a bunch of 1 stacks, you won't get as much of a bonus. I would need to confirm this information, I'm not sure. So it's an ability that you don't really want to capitalize on. I also don't know if you resurrect those dead units, will you still have the bonus? That could be an interesting experiment to find out. But yeah, even though I don't like Fortress, this is like insanely powerful. And it is actually cheaper than Minotaur. It is cheaper than Minotaur, has better stats than Minotaur. Oh, only thing it has less is HP. But otherwise it has like significantly better stats. Yeah, it's cheaper, you have more of it per week. Yeah, I would say it's at top of the B tier. Maybe not as good as magnetic golems. Yeah, not as good as the upgrades, but yeah, it definitely beats all unupgraded units we have looked at so far. Then we have, also there was a Bear Rider specialist, just like there is a Minotaur specialist and Golem specialist, and I don't remember what he did. Maybe just off attack and defense increase, maybe it was something more interesting. Black Bear Rider, it has more attack, more defense, more damage, more initiative, more speed, more HP. Another tank that beats all other upgraded units we have looked at so far in terms of stats. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And it has another ability. Which makes it so, the ability is called Paw Strike, and it makes so that you have a chance to push back the target creature and cancel all its initiative that it has accumulated, and the chance depends on how many tiles the Bear Rider has moved to attack, and this chance maxes out at 82%. So it's a strong ability that you can use strategically if you have some... the fact that you have extra speed won't help because it's maxed at 7 speed. 7 tiles walked. But still it's... It beats all other units in terms of stats. I have to probably put it at least A tier. Even though this is more fun, but this is like so strong stats. It's no comparison to other units we have looked at so far. Then let's look at White Bear Rider, and it has even more attack, similar damage, 1 less speed, and even more health. Okay, and it has 2 new abilities, Bear Roar and Armored. Armored means it is resistant to all spells and effects that decrease defense. And Bear Roar makes it so that if you scare the enemy, you get more morale and more health. Holy shit. Holy shit, I never knew it's so powerful. I knew that it could scare the creature. If you scare the creature, it runs away and doesn't retaliate. But I never knew it also gets morale for doing so and more health. Fortress is crazy. It's so powerful. It's very strong unit in combat, maybe like it's susceptible, what's the word? Susceptible to magic, but basically all the units are except golems. Also A tier, could it be better than Black Bear Rider? I think so. Yes. It is actually better, even though it has less speed. A tier, I might even bring it higher later. Okay, Haven faction. And we are looking at Footman. 4 attack, 8 defense, 2 to 4 damage, 8 initiative, 5 speed, 20 health, and 10 weekly growth. From the stats it looks like a tank and cannon fodder. It's only Fortress has more defense for their base unit, and it's one of the slowest. Yeah, as slow as Iron Golem, and I think it has the least damage. Yes, so their only purpose is to soak up damage. What are their abilities? Large shield, which means it is less susceptible to non-magical shooting attacks, enrage, and bash. Bash makes it so that you can attack an enemy unit and it won't retaliate, and they will lose their initiative. Mechanical units are not affected by this ability. So yeah, it's like a combat focused meat shield. In terms of how cool it looks cool. I like the thematics and how simple it is, but if you compare to other units we have looked so far, they don't rank so high in cool factor. But it's respectable, like a regular guy with a sword and shield fighting against monsters. I actually quite like them. I would rank them B tier. They're also very cheap. if we look at the prices, 95 gold. I will rank them at B tier. So, I actually like them more than the Bear Riders, even though the Bear Riders are probably stronger per gold invested. I'm checking the game now, looking at the stats. Yeah, I find them too cool to not rank them lower than that. Now their upgrade squires look even cooler, and they have better stats, except for speed, so they're one of the slowest. They're literally the slowest unit we have seen so far. Like 50% more HP. And they have one more ability, which is Shield Other. So they are very good utility units. If you the Shield Other ability makes it so that if the nearby unit is attacked by a non-magical shooting attack, they only take 50% damage. So they are really good in shooter versus shooter situations. You have like 1 or 2 squares next to your shooter, and your shooter will take less damage from the enemies. I also find them incredibly cool. One of my favorite like icons for a unit. So I will rank them high. Even though in combat they're really useless. I will rank them too high considering their abilities, but they are good units. I'll rank them at A tier. They're so cool. I will rank them higher than White Bear Riders, even though it's stupid from my part. Maybe even S tier. Let's put them in S tier. Nah, yeah, they look so good next to the S letter. Okay, Vindicators. Their icon looks shitty. I don't like how it looks. It has more attack, less defense, and more initiative, more speed, less HP compared to Squire. And instead of bash, they get cleave, which is a chance to attack again. In the ability description, I don't see that the cleave is affected by soldier's luck, but I assume it is. Ah, no, it is triggered if you kill at least 1 unit, so it will almost always trigger. So technically it has... I hope there's somebody drilling in the background on the street. I hope you don't hear it. So technically it has the potential to deal twice as much damage as all the other or as this Footman and Squire. Twice as much damage. And they are faster. However, I don't like them, even though they have much more damage potential. I don't like them for aesthetic reasons. So I'd rank them at C tier, even though they're technically better than the Footman. I just don't like how they look. And then we go to Inferno. Like, but if we were reasonable, then they would be like top of B tier. Or maybe even A tier. Okay, I won't be so subjective. I'll put them on B tier, top of, or A tier. B tier, B tier. Okay, next we have Inferno, one of the squishiest units. 4 attack, 3 defense, 3 to 5 damage, 13 initiative, 7 speed, 22 health, and 8 growth. And their only abilities are living and demonic. So yeah, no significant abilities. One of the fastest units we have seen so far. I'm just checking. Yes, it's the fastest one. but that's all it has going for it. I'm just checking. Like, well, other thing it has going for it's super cool. So for that reason alone, it should be in B tier. You can also use gating on these units, so you don't have to necessarily lose any of them unless you are targeted by shooters or magic users. The only reason why I might put it in C tier instead of B tier is that there's too many units in the B tier, so let's put it like this. Technically this is stronger. I'm thinking I will be more reasonable than I promised to be. Okay. Next up is the upgrade for the Hellhound, which is Cerberus. It has similar stats. It actually has less initiative, more HP, and the cool thing about him is his abilities, which is no enemy retaliation, 3-tile attack, which means it is able to triple its damage output and not receive any retaliations, which is very cool ability. The only problem is that it's super squishy unit. Yeah, it's the least tanky we have seen so far. Technically, let me see. I think it can output more damage than the Vindicator. Here's less attack and more damage. I would rank it at B tier, top of B tier. Next is Firehound. I usually prefer Firehounds or Cerberus, even though they're like even squishier, but they have much more damage output, and it used to be so that they could cross the entire battlefield in one turn, but in recent patches the battlefield size seems to have been increased, so now you can only do that if you have some speed increased in artifacts or tactics. And the cool thing about them is Health Breath, which is an upgrade to 3-tile attack. So technically you can, I think in best case scenario, you can attack like 6 units in ideal scenario. But that very rarely happens. Usually you can attack like 2-3 units. But if they're arranged in a good way, you can really capitalize on that ability. So I like them. I would put them in top tier, despite them being really squishy. I'll put them here, above Black Bear Rider and below the White Bear Rider. Next up is Necropolis. And then the first thing is Ghosts. 5 attack, 4 defense, 2 to 4 damage, 9 initiative, 6 speed, 20 health, and 9 weekly growth. Like average stats, low damage. But their coolest ability is Incorporeal. How do you pronounce it? I don't know. It means that 50% chance of missing when you attack ghosts. And it's really annoying to deal with if they're your enemies. But if they're your allies, it's really helpful for blocking enemy units. So you have one stack of ghosts, and you can like block for several turns the enemy that's like two times big, or even if it's a small unit. And once they die, you can resurrect them, so you can have like endless shield against melee units. It's a very strategic and fun unit. It's also a flyer, so it's not blocked by obstacles. That's definitely a S-tier unit. And their upgrade, first of all, is Poltergeist, which has more stats. Like all of the stats are better except for speed. And it also has the ability to steal ammunition from the enemy shooters. It's a very situational ability because in most cases I think it's more useful to just attack. Let me think. I don't think this ability also deals damage, so it's not a very useful ability. Because if you're like fighting against strong army, it's most likely against enemy hero, and enemy hero will have a ammo card. So stealing ammunition is not really useful. I would actually rank them lower than the ghosts. Maybe a little bit higher in terms of combat power, but in terms of utility, it's not worth spending more gold just to get the useless ability. Unless you rely on ghosts as like damage dealers. Next we have Specters, which are more tanky than Poltergeists. And they have a more useful ability, which is mana drain. First of all, they will resurrect their dead units. And they will drain mana, which is much more dangerous than... like spellcasters are usually much more dangerous, especially against ghosts. I'm surprised the steal ammunition ability from Poltergeists doesn't... how should I say? It doesn't heal them. Maybe it's missing from the description. But yeah, Specters are definitely better than Poltergeists. Top tier. If we are being honest, nah, Squire stands for S tier. Squire stands for S tier. It's top tier. What do we have left? We have left Stronghold, which is my favorite faction. But in the Stronghold faction, warriors are one of the worst units. Only one of the worst is goblins. But goblins have their utility of being eaten by Cyclops and sacrificed by Sky Daughters. Let's start with the stats. 5 attack, 2 defense, 2 to 5 damage, 10 initiative, 6 speed, 18 health and 11 growth. Their growth is pretty impressive. It's the highest we have seen so far. Growth, standard damage output, decent speed, and actually they're most squishy of all the units we have seen so far. And unlike hellhounds, they're not super speedy. So it goes to D tier. Definitely D tier. But they are cool looking units. Actually looking cooler than the Footman. And the first upgrade is Mauler. It has more attack, more defense, more damage, more HP. And it has one more ability, which is Assault, which is similar to Cleave but more luck based. And of course, just like all orcs, it has like Raging Blood abilities, which I think included more speed more HP and stuff like that. Did it get double damage? Like, I mean, not double damage. I could actually go quickly into combat and in the game and check the blood rage bonuses. And according to the description in the game, they get more initiative, more HP, more damage, and bash ability at the rage level 3. And only warriors get more speed. Other tier 3 orcs get more initiative instead of more speed. Yes, if you get it at the rage level 3, it definitely beats all other units in this list. However, you start out at rage level 0 and then you build up. Yeah, this really depends on the kind of hero you have. It has potential to beat all other units in this list. Actually, this also makes the warrior better. I would put them somewhere here. Even though it's my favorite faction. Okay, let me get back to the stats page for the units. And the next one is Warmonger. It has more defense and less attack, less initiative, less speed, even less speed and initiative than the base tier 3 unit, but it has more HP and some interesting abilities. I'm comparing right now the stats with the square. It's not exactly as tanky as a square, yeah. But it's decently tanky, I would say. And the abilities is Fierce Retaliation, which makes it deal double damage when retaliating. And also Taunt. So Taunt makes it so that there's a chance that the enemy will attack the Warmonger instead of your friendly unit, which might be squishier. I usually prefer Warmongers over Maulers, so that they will protect my better units. And yeah, in most cases I prefer Warmongers. Only exception might be if I specialize in like tier 3 units with the specialist, where I need to get as much damage from my favorite unit as possible. But usually I use Warmongers, and I think they are better in most cases. Let's put them in A tier to give Stronghold some love. Yeah, they also get unlimited retaliation when they are upgraded to rage level 2. So that's a strong ability. I mean, technically, let me compare it to Steel Golem. So Steel Golem had better stats, and it has the retaliation by default. And it has less initiative, more HP, more damage. Nah, I still love Stronghold, so I will be unfair. Even though if you're objective, like, they are worse than golems. It's really difficult to rate them because Blood Rage changed so much that they could technically beat like here, and the same thing for Maulers and even Warriors. But without Blood Rage they're pretty bad. I'll put them here, I think, because they have some utility. And the last one we have Sylvan. Sylvan has one of the better units for tier 3, which is like damage, like the real damage dealers. And so far it seems like they only ranged tier 3 unit. It's a hunter, 4 attack, 1 defense, 4 to 7 damage, 10 initiative, 5 speed, 14 health, and 7 weekly growth. And they shoot twice. It's S tier. It's S tier? It's like nothing to talk about. Yes, they are squishy, but they will kill anything that comes towards them. And if you look at Master Hunter, it is the same, but upgraded in every possible way. And they also have warding arrows ability, which means that they have a chance to delay the enemy turn, which is targeted by their shooting. And it's a luck-based ability. Also S tier. I will rank the hunters lower than squires because squires are too cool. Even though they're better. Even though the hunters are better. And next one is Sharpshooter. I think it used to be called Arcane Archer, maybe in the original game. It has more attack, more damage, and more health, but less initiative than the Master Hunter. And the interesting thing is that it doesn't have the double shoot ability, instead it has no range penalty. The way I understand it is, in most cases it is the same result. So normally shooters deal less damage to units that are more than half a battlefield away, but sharpshooters like do full damage always. I don't know how does it interact with defense. In full range maybe it deals more damage compared to double shot in full range, but at close range double shot definitely deals more damage because it doesn't have any penalty there. And the other ability is Forced Arrow, which ignores enemy defense, part of enemy defense, and has a chance to push back the enemy 1 tile. Now, from what I have heard, people usually prefer sharpshooters over master hunters, but at least against AI I prefer master hunters because they have more initiative. Like sharpshooters have more damage potential, but I prefer to act faster. So even though they are better than master hunters in many cases, I'll rank them lower. So that's it for the list. Let's look over it and see. The S tier is quite populated. It might be good to remove some units that are not squires from there. No, but this all makes sense. They all are top tier units. Yeah, it's more or less how I think it is. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.